last issue on this kind of thing, and then we'll move on a little bit. I get this all the time, but I mean, this one particular case just really stands out in my mind. Hopefully I'll never forget it. But anyway, this fellow came up to me one day. He said, it was like Saturday before we started on Sunday morning. He said, so Steve, you're going to be speaking about creation, huh? And I said, yes, sir. He said, well, what do you do with the dinosaurs? What do you mean, what do I do with the dinosaurs? He said, well, they're not in the Bible, so I'm just curious, how do you handle that issue? I said, really, dinosaurs aren't in the Bible? He said, no. I said, well, yeah, they are. He said, oh, come on, where can you find dinosaurs in the Bible? I said, well, they're in several different places, but one of which is the Ten Commandments. Now, folks, I got to tell you, when I told this guy the dinosaurs were in the Ten Commandments, he looked at me just a little bit odd, And I said, well, I see you don't know your Ten Commandments, huh? He said, I thought I did, but I got to tell you, man, I've never seen a dinosaur in there. I said, well, you didn't look very close then. Look, folks, if you take the full text of the Ten Commandments, not just the thou shalt nots, the full text, Exodus 20, verse 3 through 17. Smack dab in the middle, Exodus 20, verse number 11. God wrote in stone, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Rest of the seventh day, wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. I asked this guy, I said, that all right there, is that where that big fireball we call the sun was put up there? He said, well, of course. I said, that all right there, is that where the elephants came in? He said, well, sure. I said, that all right there, is that where people were put here? He said, well, yeah. I said, that all right there, is that where tomato plants came in? He said, yeah. I said, that all right there, is that where the dinosaurs were put here? And he looked at me and he kind of snickered and he said, it does say all, doesn't it? Folks, it does say all, doesn't it? Do you realize this was so important to God for us to know? It was 6 days, the heaven and everything that's there, the earth and everything that's there, the sea and everything that's there. Folks, do you realize he just covered everywhere by qualifying it that way? He wrote that in stone right in the middle of the Ten Commandments. And then people say sometimes, well, maybe it doesn't really mean that way. Listen, if God went to that extent and extreme on something that he doesn't even mean in the first place, then what good is anything else now? No, I dare say he meant it that way. That's why he put it that way. But anyway, let's go on now. Let's change of gears here. Let's go into the original creation. This has been in the Bible the whole time, and it's like we haven't seen it. Anyway, Genesis chapter 1, verse number 6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay, first of all, what is a firmament? A lot of times, if you want to interpret the Bible, the best thing to do is just keep reading it. It'll tell you what it's talking about down the line somewhere. This is a perfect example of that thing. A little bit later, still in chapter 1, verse 16, God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also, and God set them, that's an important word, in the firmament, there's that word, of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. Well, there's one of those firmaments